Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Okay, today we're going to be talking about sacrifice. Okay, I've been on these YouTube Christian streets, okay, and I hear a lot of the pastors saying that sacrifice is no longer needed because Christ obviously came, right? And that was the way they did things in the olden days. Okay, well, I'm here to tell you that that's not true, and I'm here to tell you that is actually the very thing that needs to be done for our liberation. Okay, this is a message coming directly from the throne. Okay, um one thing that I want to point out is that if you've been following the war over there in the Middle East, right? A couple months back, it was said or reported that the Israeli priest or the prime minister, them folks over there, they were slaughtering a red heifer because it was part of a prophecy that needed to be done for some things to happen. So these people who are in that land, they believe that you still need to sacrifice. Okay, all of these cultures and traditions around the world that the church called pagan and idol worship and stuff like that. These people are um, still making sacrifices, okay? And for the most part, the people that I see that are making sacrifices, they are excelling in their lives, okay? They have victory, okay? I've seen, whole community. So I've seen whole communities of harmony and peace where people make sacrifices to their various gods and goddesses, okay? And they live in harmony and peace. Yet we're told that this is idol worship and that God doesn't like that, and it's a sin and you'll go to hell and life is going to be bad for you. Well, we got to start thinking rational and start opening our eyes. If this is so, how is it that all these people all around the world that never heard of Jesus, they live harmonious? These people that's in the jungle and stuff like that they ain't never heard of Jesus, wasn't given Jesus, but yet they live fine and been living for millennia in their habitats, okay? So I want to bring that forth, okay, as what they call it, Exhibit A, okay? Okay, as I begin to dabble into spirituality, I began to always reach a ceiling. There was like a ceiling that was reached. Whether I was practicing Hinduism, because it wasn't like I was practicing, I always studied. I went in to study to get knowledge, and I guess you can say practicing. I would practice some of the techniques, whether it was Hinduism, Yoruba, Buddhism, Christianity, what else? And then anything, any system of mysticism or religion that I went into, it would be like there was but so far I could go. And that was frustrating me because I knew I wanted to go higher. Okay. And I felt like there was a disconnect because of the culture, the language, and I just wasn't able to climb and get more done. Okay. And then it kept on being revealed to me about this sacrifice, but I just kept on ignoring it because I was getting success with just regular food offerings and material offerings, I never had done, well, I did. I think maybe on one of my Jesus altars that I had erected that I did put forth some meat because I was following. I said, well, listen, I don't know about killing no oxen or nothing like that. But I said, the closest thing to an oxen I know is like some beef. Let me go make a steak and cook a steak and put some wine and some bread out, And that's what I put forth for Jesus, right? Because Jesus is supposed to be the representation of the Father. And the Father in the Old Testament, he was always slaughtering oxen, some form of beef. You know what I mean? So when I erected that altar, there was tremendous power that came through that altar. So that was in a way a sense of a sacrifice, because I mean, I didn't kill the animal, but it was a slaughtered animal that I then cooked. He talked about putting the burnt offering. The burnt offering is when you take the dead flesh, right, and then you cook it, right? So I said, okay, I think I'm gonna try this. So I did that, and sure enough, he came through powerful through that altar, like no joke. When I tell you, he was on my enemy's ass, he was on their ass, okay? Had them running, okay? Running. They was shivering in their boots, to the point to where I remember looking at, an ex of mine, right, who used to stalk me after we broke up, and he came to my house, and he's just used to me being sweet and, a certain kind of way, right? But when I started, he will make you talk with power, because he's power. He's dominion, right? And I really started, he began to give me that my throat chakra energy and really just voicing myself. And I tell you, the way he looked at me and the way he just backed up for me and the way he would present himself from that moment forward, it was like he thought I had a man. And he ain't want no problems with my new man. He ain't know that my man was Jesus, right? Or Yahweh. He ain't know that's what was going on. He thought I actually had a physical man in the house who was telling me to say these things. He thought some man was in the back room somewhere. And he bowed down. You know what I mean? Because he ain't want no problems. So that was off of that sacrifice. That was from a burnt offering, okay? So I know with Christians, right, you're taught just to go tithe and give money, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that's why ain't nothing changing in your life. You are just enriching the pockets of your pastor, okay? So, and if your pastor ain't making no sacrifices to the altar, then ain't no power coming from it. That's why we ain't got no power in the pulpit in America. There's no true power, okay? Because again, you yourself are giving your power. When you give your dollar to that man, to that pastor, to that person in that pulpit, you're giving your power away and giving it to him. That's how now there's a transferring. You're giving him your essence, okay? And he becomes powerful and rich while you remain in the same situation. He recycles the same stories to you and give you a motivational speech that only lasts 5 minutes or a day or two, and then you back to dealing with regular stuff. No true solutions, okay? So I say that to say, to the chosen, we are called in this hour to begin to sacrifice, to learn the art of sacrificing. I don't have any further explanation on this thing, but it was brought forth to me, okay? As I told you, they have been working around the clock to close my third eye, right? So my daughter, she has an active third eye. She is 12, okay? And she woke up and she gave me the dream. She said, Mama, it was like we was in Italy, right? And she was like, we was on a step pyramid, and these white people had the black people as slaves in chains, and they said that we needed to make a sacrifice, okay? So I'm like, okay. So now when she said Italy, it made me think of Rome. It made me think of the Pope. It made me think of the Catholic Church, right? I have heard, I've never really done thorough research, but my sources are very trusted and it makes sense in the scheme of things, but that Rome is one of the major forces and centers that are suppressing us and holding down our powers, okay? That they have direct ties to what goes on in this land, and somehow they are holding our destinies, or they've hijacked it. They've done something to the black race, okay? And black Americans in particular. So I've had this knowing and understanding. It's been in my consciousness in the back somewhere floating. But when my daughter had this dream, I knew. I said, okay. I said, now what is the significance of the pyramid? Okay? Okay. So during this time, I'm heavenly getting impressions, right? I'm getting visualizations coming to me of the Anunnaki, okay, which eventually led me into Egypt, right? Egypt has the pyramids, which then eventually led me down into South America, into the Americas, right? And this Olmec energy just kept on being prevalent, okay? The Olmecs were a group of a group of Africans, or at least a part of the black race, right? That had come to the Americas prior to Columbus, all right? And they have these big stone heads down in South America. Big stone heads, like huge, colossal, of their heads and their features with their helmets on, right? So I've heard about the Olmecs over the years, and I heard, okay, yeah, you know, they were here, and it's connected to our native heritage and things like that. I said, okay, cool. But I never could really connect us being native, as there's a big argument on us being native. And I couldn't really connect us to it because I've always felt a strong connection to Africa. So I did know that my grandmother, and in our genealogy, she came from a Native American woman, right? So, and then you hear all throughout Black America about the Native American grandmother who had long, silky hair, okay? You hear that prevalently through the community. So now, this Olmec is popping up. So the Olmec, they're known, they had like the woolly hair. They had woolly hair. So I'm like, okay, how does that connect us to being native? Because I still have this archetype in my mind of what a Native American is, right? Okay. Over the past years, I found out about a group called the Mississippians, right down in Mississippi. You go to New Orleans, they have a huge culture. There was the guy, the empress of the Wichita nation that I found out. She was, I believe, from New Orleans, and she had like a tribe down there and a whole confederation. So I was aware of her. I had looked into New Orleans, and New Orleans had a lot of native culture, as what we have been taught native culture is: the costume, the regalia, and these were, dark skinned Black American looking people, some with the straight hair too. Okay, so now I'm living in North Carolina. So I'm living in North Carolina. Now I come across some people that's called the Creek people, right? I'm an African American. I'm a Black, So now I run into them. I run into a lady, very beautiful, and she had like a short haircut, and it was straight. And I remember it looking really beautiful on her. And I thought to myself, when I cut my hair, that was the style that I was going to go for, right? And then I remember seeing her in the store, and I was like, yeah, girl, you inspired my new hairstyle, right? And I was like, what you do? You got to flatten it? I said, yours flattened or perm? Because I said, I flattened mine. So she said, oh, no, girl. She said, this is natural. I was like, how you get natural? She was like, yeah, I'm Creek Indian. I'm like, oh, okay. But she looked like a Black woman, right? What we know to be a Black American. Okay. I go to this restaurant, and I meet this guy or whatever. He's attracted to me, and I'm attracted to him. And we begin to hit it off. And he tells me that he's Creek Indian. And then he takes his hat off. Okay? And he got some jet black silky stuff. But if he had not taken off his hat, I would have, I wouldn't have presumed that he was a Creek Indian, But he had strictly African features, Negroid features, okay? But we do know, too, now, for instance, with the Black and white children, you can have a Black and white parent come together, and they get all the African features, right? So, for instance, supposedly, I know it's a bad example, but Michael Jackson kids, for example, him mating with a white woman produced kids with the more European features, right? But now we can think of somebody like J. Cole, that's the rapper whose mother is white, his father was Black, right? He has all Negroid features. You see what I'm saying? So we do know that the phenotype in the manifestation of our genes can come out in different ways, and they can skip generations. So for instance, say I can have all kids that have more negroid features, right? But perhaps in the next generation, my daughter's child will come out with some of those Native American features that my grandmother was, my great grandmother was. You see what I'm saying? So this whole concept of Black Americans being Native is starting to hit me. It's going around heavy on social media. I'm seeing it. There's a guy named what is his name? Dane Calloway, where he has a big following on social media, and he's talking about how we slavery never happened, we never came here, we never traveled across the oceans, right? And how we was already here and we indigenous to the land. Now I still had a problem with us being indigenous to the land. Like I said, I have a strong connection to Africa, and it just wasn't adding up with the Indians that I am used to seeing, the archetype of what I'm used to seeing in movies and stuff like that. So I'm having a problem with it still, but it's there in my mind. So now Spirit begins to show me things and keep on putting this in my face that we are natives, okay? So, okay, another experience. Now, back when I used to live in New York, they had reservations down there in New York, and I think it's the Hamptons or Mastic Beach or something like that. And I used to have my little illegal business going on, right? I was selling cigarettes and stuff like that, stuff like that. And I used to go out there to go and get my supplies, right? Because the cigarettes down there was extremely cheap. They're cheap on the reservation because they're not taxed, right? So people would go out there to buy their cigarettes, right? So when I went there, I had heard about it. I heard that it was all black. When I went there, it was surely black folks, niggas. So I'm like, wait a damn minute now. What's going on? Okay? So that's in my mind. That's playing in my consciousness. It's a reservation full of dark-skinned people, okay? Now, I'm in North Carolina again. There was a housing complex, and the name of the housing complex was called the Native American or the Indian Housing. It was Housing Bureau. It was either the Indian Housing Bureau or the Native American Housing Bureau. Well, nothing but black folks that living there. My friend lived there. But before I seen the name of the sign, I had already stopped being friends with that person, so I never got a chance to ask him, like, how did he get in there? Do he got a card or something? How was he able to get this apartment and stuff like that? I know they had paid really cheap rent. I know his rent was like $300 or something like that. You know what I mean? So I don't know if the people there actually had some kind of identification cards that stated that they were Native, or just because they were Black Americans, they were able to apply and get these apartments, okay? So these were things that God was setting in my way to show me that we were Native, okay? Now, I go now, after I'm doing research past couple of days, trying to put together this Anunnaki, this Egyptian, and this Olmec stuff together, right? Because this is dealing with these pyramids. And remember in the dream, there's the pyramids, okay? So I go and I look up Native, the definition of what Native is standing for, okay? Native stands for just meaning pre-Columbian. It's as simple as that, okay? So we do know that Africans, right, what we consider Africans, black, dark-skinned people, woolly hair, was here in the Americas before Columbus, okay? We know that, okay? Whether they integrated with the Indians, and that's how we have these black, what we call black Indians, that we see them wearing the regalia and stuff like that, and they share the same similarities in cultures as these white-looking ones or these Asian-looking ones. Whether it was a marriage that took place because of them all sharing the land, or whether we are indigenous here, I don't know. I lean more towards, if we obviously have some kind of, not even the Native Americans, hold on, are supposedly indigenous, right? They are supposedly from the history now, came from Asia and supposedly walked over here through the Bering Strait, supposedly, okay? But they're more so considered some kind of mongoloid, okay? So If they're natives, why are we not natives? Why don't we get reparations? Because we were here pre-Columbus as well. Okay, so I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, so now I remember a couple years back, I was listening to, I believe, a Hopi prophecy, right? As I was heavenly getting communication about Orion, and how Orion, the Orion's belt in the constellation above, was connected to Arizona and these certain Native American tribes, right? I had begun to do some research on that, and I remember coming across a prophecy video, and I remember the elder in that video, he began to talk about when the Native Americans was going to get their freedoms from these white folks, and when the he talked about how the Black Americans would go through one struggle, right? And I remember 2020 hit, and that was supposedly like that struggle that was going to bring forth freedom, right? The George Floyd killing. Then he said the one after that will bring total liberation to the Black people. This is a prophecy. So I heard that, okay? It's there. It's in my mind, lingering. It's there, okay? Now, let's see. Hold on. Okay. So now I'm able to connect us to this land, right? I begin to do more research and find out not only about the pyramids that were down in South America, but the pyramids that are here in North America, all throughout the United States. Now, I've seen with my own eyes the natural pyramids, the ones that just come erect out of the land. I see them. Where I'm located, they're everywhere, the natural pyramids, okay? Now, that are just made out of earth, okay? Earth, they're there, okay? Now, there was also the ones that were created. They have the mounds and the Native American mounds and the pyramids all throughout America, and particularly in the southeast, where the majority of so-called Black slaves entered into America. That was our region, right? We were told that those was our regions, Virginia, Mississippi, the South, that was our region. That's where we were, and that's where they imported us into, okay? So in that area, there are mounds and pyramids, okay? And what I want to bring forth too, this was very distinct. This pyramid wasn't an Egyptian pyramid, though I believe in some of the earlier kingdoms of Egypt, they did step pyramids, but later on they did the flat sideline pyramids, okay? But this pyramid told me that it was directly connected to America because of the steps, okay? The step pyramid. So Spirit took me on this journey to show me that we do have rights to this land and that we are connected to this land. However, if we want to be free, we got to make a sacrifice, okay? We have not given the gods of this land that we have resided in for millennia, or perhaps some of us for the last 400 years since they imported some of us here, we haven't given any blood sacrifices. They need blood, okay? So in the dream, my daughter said it was either, they asked for a cat or a dog, okay? Then I remember I found this book, this is how spirit works. I go to the library, this little, very tiny, small library, right? And they have a display. And it's a book connecting Mayans, Olmec, Egypt, and all of them, and all the different places that had pyramids, right? So I get the book, and I open it, and it talked about, I believe it was the Mayans, and how their god required a dog or something like that to be sacrificed. So I said, okay, so we know we need some kind of dog sacrifice. Okay, cool. Where do we do this sacrifice at? Who do we do it? Do we do it ourselves, or do we find somebody who already in the land that still practice these practices, and we go to them and ask them to do this on our behalf? Okay, I'm leaning more towards the end, finding the people who never lost the practices, who are still here, because again, we have Native American blood. Those pyramids are is our connection to this land, and our connection. So, for instance, I do know Like, okay, we in Christianity we represent the Son, Jesus. Jesus represents the Son, the S-O-N, which in reality he's really the Bible is covering up the S-U-N, the Son above. Okay, so down in the pyramids down there in South America, the sun god, they have sun gods there. Okay, you would go up to the top of the temple and you make your sacrifice on top of the temple to the sun god. So I'm presuming that we are making a sacrifice to the sun god. Okay, the sun. Perhaps in whatever name he has here in the Americas. Okay, or it could perhaps even be Jesus, right? Because Jesus is the name that we've used all of these years to represent the S-U-N, the sun god. Okay, so we have to make a blood sacrifice to the S-U-N. Okay, and perhaps do it on a continuous basis, because at these temples and at these mounds and stuff, this is what they were doing. They were giving sacrifices to the sun god to ensure, prosperity in life, and we, Lord knows, we sure have suffered here in North America. Okay, so I want to tie this all in together. I'm tying this in to let you know that you are connected to this land. Okay, every land all over the world, they have their territorial spirits, okay, that were here before Christianity came and gave you Jesus. Okay, there are spirits that are in the waters here in America, that are in the mountains here in America, that are in these pyramids in America, in the grasslands, in the forest. They're here. Okay, and they require things. If you ask any architect or anybody who does any kind of building, right? In most cases, they have to do rituals, especially when they go into these foreign lands. And I'm sure here in America too, when they go into these lands, they got to go to the locals and get permission to build maybe a bridge or whatever it is they're trying to build over some water or over some land. There's tons of stories, you guys can look it up, all over the world, where they got to go to the locals, where the locals will do divination to find out if it's okay. And then if the spirits of the land say that it's okay, they'll do some kind of ritual and they'll give them the permission to build something in that territory. Okay, the same thing all over the world. Okay, we've just lost that knowledge because of Christianity, but we're waking up. Okay, so to the chosen, it is time that we begin to make sacrifices to the S-U-N. Okay? And now, if you're not comfortable with this just yet, like I said, erect the altar in your space, right? And you can put Jesus there if you want to deal with Jesus, okay? And you can use the name of Jesus. He represents, as far as our collective consciousness, he's known as the sun god, the S-O-N, which is really the S-U-N. Put him up, because that's what I used at the time. Okay, Jesus, that's what I used at the time. And I put down some wine, some bread, and some cooked beef, okay? And he worked wonders, okay? So for those of you who are a little bit more courageous and ready for this shit to end, our oppression to end, and for things to finally be right for us, then perhaps we need to be in contact with some of the Native Americans, whether they're the Black Native Americans or whichever ones that are here throughout the land that still practice the traditions, and connect with them and either have them teach us the rites and rituals, or either ask them to do it on our behalf. Okay? Because another thing Spirit wants me to give with this message is that we also, every day in our prayers and our declarations and decrees, we need to be demanding reparations. Okay? Now, we know that there are people who are doing this at a government level. I see it every here and there in the news, so I don't know how much of it is really moving and what's really going on. But for the spiritual ones, right? We know everything starts in the spiritual. That needs to be our main prayer every day. It needs never to not be on our lips. Reparations, okay? Now, this reparation don't have to come by them giving us anything. It can come by us taking it. When we give that sacrifice, okay, that's going to unleash some kind of power to us. We're going to get some juice, okay? And when we continually do this, we're going to continually get juiced up, okay? Because we have rights to this land. We are tied to this land. We are blood tied to the gods of this land. Perhaps some of our creators, okay? So we need to give that sacrifice, and we need to keep on our lips reparations. Like I said, they don't have to give us anything. We ain't got to beg for nothing. Now, if some people are skilled in that area and that's what you do, and you in the legal field and stuff like that, I want y'all to go out there. We need y'all on the front line. Go do what y'all do and put them papers into the courts and do what you got to do to get it on that level. But for the spiritual ones, our work going to be done in the spiritual, and we're going to be commanding what's ours. So if they don't give it to us, we're going to take it by any means. Whichever way that the Most High see fits for this judgment to come upon them and for this land to be transferred back into the hands of the proper people, it's going to be done. So we need to know that there's power in our words, power in our prayer, power in our declarations and decrees. Okay? So this is your land. Okay? No one should be telling you to go back to Africa. You have rights to this land, because the very definition of native is pre-Columbus. Okay? And we have proof that our ancestors and our DNA been here. Just off the presence of the Olmecs and what came through in the spiritual realm that I'm imparting to you guys. So never feel like you belong somewhere else. This is your home. We ain't going back to Africa. Okay? We here now. And we're going to stay here. We're going to defend this land because it's ours. Their goal is to trick you out of your position. Tell you that you don't belong here. They playing psychology on you. Okay? Tell you that you don't belong here and to go back to Africa. Okay? So that they can fully get land rights. Now, another thing that I want to bring up. I had watched the video. I bought it was about 3 parts, 3-part documentary on, it was called The Changing of the Gods, the change of the New World or something like that. And it talked about these, the Europeans coming in and slaughtering all the Native Americans, okay? I watched hours upon hours of them just killing, okay? That's what it all just boiled down to, them genociding and annihilating us, okay? But by the time I got to the end of that documentary, I knew in my spirit, or rather I was getting confirmation, because like I told you, I'm fully coming into this revelation now, okay? But it's been lingering and it's been there. But I just wasn't, I wasn't there yet in claiming like, yes, we are native, okay? But now I'm there. So I remember getting to the end of that documentary and remember thinking to myself, they've been killing us all this time. I said, they talking about us. They've been slaughtering us since they got here. And this ain't just no 1600, 1700, 1800. No, this is an act that is still being played out day in and day out on us. So y'all need to know that we is that war. It never stopped. Okay? It never stopped. They eventually, what I guess their goal is to eventually take over the land. But for some reason, our strand that has been here that's native, the darker skinned Indians, we are resilient. They can't kill us off. Okay? But that is their goal. Okay? That is their goal. And one way that they really try to wipe us out, they'll keep you around, but to wipe you out is to water down your genetics. If you mix with theirs, they can water you down and weaken you. We got black strong coffee, right? We got coffee that's dark. It's powerful, okay? But you got to when you put that milk into it, it lightens it up and it tones it down. So that's what all of this interracial dating and this mixing does. It waters down your genes, okay? And they do this intentionally because they're trying to breed out your bloodline, okay? That warrior class, they want that gone. So if they can't kill you through all the pollution and all the other shit they do to you, right? They figure they can kill you through the womb, okay? Through inserting others' DNA or yours in it and watering you down, okay? So, yeah, I'm big on that. No mixing. No mixing. We need to keep our genes strong, okay? The men be talking about, oh, we don't like them black women. They aggressive. Yeah, nigga, we aggressive. Yeah, that's our energy, okay? We are warrior queens. What do they call it? The woman kings. We all that. That's there. As well as we're very feminine, very loving. We got that big mama energy. You understand? But we come down on your ass. That's who we is. Okay? And y'all should never back down from it. And another thing I'm going to say, with that, is that women, know your power. Okay? Know your power. Because this rhetoric that's going on out here about black women being aggressive, and I know black women want some men, so they might try to tone themselves down to be acceptable to some men. Trust me, you're hurting yourself trying to be somebody else. Be you in your fullness. If a person can't handle that, then you let them go. Period. Okay? Because we ain't weakening for nobody. We ain't watering down for nobody. There is a God out there who needs your energy and appreciate your energy. Now these old watered down niggas, if that's what they want, some old Darcel bitch, let them go get her. You understand? However, we gonna be who we gonna be. And there's a king out there that's directly for us. Know that. Okay? So let's recap on what this message was trying to portray. Our native status, meaning just strictly pre-Columbian. So if the Native Americans that are of Asian descent and white descent have gotten reparations, and like I said, some blacks that I know of too got reparations, we need to be going in heavily on this. Those of us who aren't on reservations and don't have access to these cards and stuff that says that we're Native Americans, we need to begin applying for it and figuring this stuff out. Okay, either applying for it, like I said, doing the spiritual work to make it happen, so that we can get our land back, get our minds back, get our dignity back, and get our souls back, and like I said, most importantly, getting our land back. This is our ancestral land. Okay, so yes, prayers, declaration, and decrees. That is in order. Chosen, speak every day this into existence. Okay, for our freedom and for our reparations and for the destruction of those forces that seek to hold us back. Rome, okay, white supremacy, these institutions, okay, we are calling forth judgment on them on a consistent basis. I need y'all to activate. This is something I would do sparingly, but as I'm coming into my powers and coming into myself, this is something that has to be done every day. Every day, okay? Every day. Also libations, call the names of your ancestors who have been here in this freedom fight with us, okay? Get the names of the ancestral spirits of the land. Call on the ancestral gods of Africa and America to be here on the front line with us. Call their names, okay? Give them water. That's bringing life to them. That's energy for them. Water equals life. We want to liven them up, empower them to work on our behalf. Okay? So, yes. Okay, and the last thing was sacrifice. Sacrifice. That's the main thing. That's what this video is about. Sacrifice. Us finding the rituals and the rites, learning them, or like I said, creating an altar and giving a burnt sacrifice to the sun god, or perhaps going to the natives of this land and asking them to slaughter an animal on our behalf to give to the gods for our freedom to come forth. Okay, so yes, people, we have been lied to for a very long time. We have been given this religion without sacrifice. Now, if you go anywhere around the world, there is absolutely no religion without sacrifice, except for these Abrahamic religions, okay? And even within their country, they have their priests that are in the thick of things, slaughtering animals. Like I said, in Israel, they just slaughtered a red heifer. That's some form of animal, a calf or something like that. So these things are still going on. And if this was what was shown to us in the Old Testament, right? And like I said, I use the Bible as a point of reference of how things operate in the spiritual realm and how things work. Not that I believe it word for word, because we know it's been tampered with to keep us bound. But however, I look at the different things in it, and like I said, we chew the meat, spit the bones out. And it's a great book on just giving you understanding and wisdom on ceremonial magic and on ritual, the things needed to bring the presence of God down. Okay? Presence of God down. So for now, like I said, it's okay if the only God you know is Jesus, right? Because again, he's in our collective consciousness as the sun god. Okay? Whoever our creators is, they know that we talking to them. Okay? So if that's the name you're comfortable with, use it. Whatever gods that you have been working with that are connected to the sun, Ra, Yahweh, whatever y'all want to use, okay? Go on, and use it. I don't know about Yahweh though. That one I ain't gonna put in there. But definitely any solar deity. There's tons of solar deities all around the world. Whoever you may be working with, use that name for now. Okay, make your sacrifice and your offerings to that deity for now. But mainly for those of us who are called to really uncover the name of this Native American sun god, which he does have a name, I know, down in Mexico. I can't pronounce the name, but I know he has a name down there. But I'm sure he probably has a different name here in North America. We need to find his name and use that name, okay? And bring forth this change. Bring forth our freedom. Bring forth our reparations, okay? It's been the greatest lie told. That sacrifice was no longer needed because Christ sacrificed his blood. There's people all over the world don't even know who Christ is, okay? How's his blood working in their life? They still doing the old way of things, the old way of sacrificing and living harmonious and being free. So something for those of you who this might be far-fetched for you, it's been put and posited into your brain because you clicked on this video. So perhaps it might not resonate with you now. You know what I mean? As it didn't fully penetrate my brain. I started knowing about the Olmecs long time ago, but for this stuff to really start penetrating our brain and breaking down those prisons that they have placed our brains in, it takes time. So I'm glad to be depositing this into your brains. If you hate me for this video and you don't believe nothing I say, that's all right. It's there in due time. If it's meant for you, you will get the full revelation of what I've said here today. And for those of you who are already there and just needed to kind of bridge the gap, or you've been kind of in the same place as me in limbo about this thing, here's the video of confirmation. Okay? Yes. So that's the video. Peace.